The dark and glorious birth of civilization. Have you ever thought about it? That annoying alarm that wakes you up this morning, the bills you have to pay, the workplace where you go every day, even the smartphone you are watching this video on right now. All of them exist because of a tiny seed planted into the soil by a man who lived 15,000 years ago. So how did everything become what it is today? How do we transform from the free children of nature into people trapped inside cities? Today, put aside everything you know about history, because we are going to talk about humanity's greatest and most mysterious story, the birth of civilization. Welcome to the Why Screens. Sit back, we're starting. Our story actually begins with an incredibly cool moment, us standing upright. Scientists call this the savanna hypothesis. The climate changed, forests decreased, and our common ancestors came down from the trees and began walking on two legs. Do you know what walking on 2 feet gave us? The power to explore enormous areas using far less energy. But do you know what the real turning point was? Our hands became free. Two incredible tools with limitless possibilities, capable of doing anything. And that was the moment technology began, my friend. We shaped stones, carved wood, and created weapons. Humans spent 99% of their entire history using only these stone and bone tools. Those artificial intelligences and space shuttles we are so proud of today, they were created during only a tiny 1% of our history. For hundreds of thousands of years, we traveled across the world in small groups. Around 60,000 years ago, we left Africa and, driven by unstoppable curiosity, spread across Asia, Europe, Australia, and eventually the entire planet. Then, about 15,000 years ago, the world began to warm, and humanity made perhaps the most radical decision in history, to put down roots. We planted seeds, domesticated animals, and built villages. You might think, great, now food became abundant, right? Hold on, as hunter-gatherers, everyone was equal. There were no classes, no bosses, but with agriculture, something called surplus production appeared, meaning that some people began controlling the granaries and the stored resources. And at that exact moment, for the first time in history, hierarchy and social classes were born. Priests, kings, and soldiers rose to the top, while the people sweating in the fields remained at the bottom. Moreover, breaking away from nature had a price. What do you think living closely with animals brought us? Deadly diseases? In other words, the inequality, chaos, and illnesses you see in the modern world today. All of them sprouted among those first wheat fields and carried themselves into the present. Agriculture separated us from nature, but it inevitably started something else, civilization. And the magnificent cradle where this civilization was born was right at our doorstep, Mesopotamia. With the fertility of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerians appeared around 4000 BC. Cities became so large and life became so complicated that it was impossible to remember who owed how much tax or how much material was stored in the warehouses. And then writing was invented. For the first time, human voices were carved into clay and stone, becoming immortal. And Mesopotamia. This place was like a giant laboratory of empires that were destroyed and rebuilt again and again. First came Sargon of Akkad, who conquered the Sumerians and created history's first empire. But he too eventually fell. And then the famous Hammurabi appeared on the stage. He declared an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and created some of the earliest strict, written laws in history. They disappeared, and then came the Assyrians, who transformed into a military monster, destroying fortresses with their siege tactics. Then history turned once again, and the legendary King Nebuchadnezzar and the Neo-Babylonian Empire rose to power. He destroyed Jerusalem and forced thousands of people into exile. But at the same time, he built the legendary Hanging Gardens of Babylon as a symbol of humanity's timeless desire for beauty beyond stone and power. Those gardens remained in our collective memory. The wisdom of Sumer, the military strength of Assyria, the magnificence of Babylon, they all taught us something in order to build the world we live in today. But history never stays in one place. This story, which began between the rivers, was now about to cross new borders. Because on the horizon, enormous powers trying to unite the world were emerging, along with kings whose armies crossed continents. Civilization was moving from Mesopotamia toward Persian lands and the blue waters of the Mediterranean. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel like the video, and turn on that small notification bell so you don't miss the second chapter of this story. The new age where kings became gods and ideas became more permanent than weapons.